What is going on, Notre Dame fans? Mike Singer and Kyle Kelly live on the Blue and Gold YouTube channel. It's our Friday recruiting update. Hope everyone is doing well. The dead period is over, at least for this week, and then it goes right back to being dead in all of August. Kyle, there was a time like several years ago where August was not a dead period, but personally, I don't mind because it gives us another month where things are just a little bit chiller on the recruiting front, figuratively speaking, and then we can focus more on fall camp. But yeah, so we do have a lot to discuss. Notre Dame had a big visit event yesterday. Please hit the thumbs up on this video if you're watching on YouTube, or if you're watching live with us, watching back afterwards. We'd really appreciate that. Of course, subscribe to our channel if you are new. If you're listening via podcast, thank you very much. We just ask that you would leave us a 5-star review wherever you listen to your podcast. Kyle, you were over in South Bend yesterday to be a part of the paparazzi as the recruits entered the Goog. But how are you doing, my friend?
I'm feeling jealous because I thought for the longest time I was the face of the show in terms of the camera quality.
Oh, yeah, I got you beat now, huh?
I think Mike might have some family connections that's hooking him up there with this.
Man.
Me.
Hey, what's up?
He's looking freaking legit.
Hey, man.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, my brother does this. He does the video stuff full time. So I got all of his hand-me-downs, which were huge upgrades over here, and got the shelves behind me. So I got to get used to like looking up here more. Whereas like when I read the chat and look at you, it's all down here. So if you guys see me looking away from the camera, that's what I'm doing. But yeah, we're fired up over here about it, man. So it's good. Just reading the chat. Mark says, what's everybody's grilling and chilling pro tips? Mine is always have a cold one to sip on by the grill to stay cool. That is that's the number one thing you have to do. For sure. We got Debbie Cooks in the chat, Jerry, Justin, Drew's here. Debbie says next in line is a blue and gold studio for everyone. Yeah, this was all. I mean, these little mini helmets behind me, I think were like $40 a pop. The Shamrock was like $10 on Amazon, and then I don't even know where I got this from, but I had it sit in my closet. So, for sure. So. Let's dive into some recruiting topics. So Notre Dame had this grill and chill, which this was the third year they had done it. 2022 was the first year. And I think that was on a Sunday. No, Tuesday. It was on Tuesday that year. Last year's was on the Sunday. This year was on a Thursday. And I had a lot of people on the Blue and Gold message board asking me, why was it on a Thursday and not like a Saturday? Chelsea and Celtic are playing at Notre Dame Stadium on Saturday. So they did it yesterday, this recruiting event, which was titled Grill and Chill, which if you're wondering what they did, they grilled and they chilled. This is always a big deal. It's for the rising junior class mainly. You had several 2025 commits, but really for the rising junior class. And Kyle, when I made that legendary, I'll call it legendary, 8-for-8 prediction run last August, it was mainly from those grill and chill visitors from a couple weeks beforehand, right? So you might see something soon. I think we're going to be both logging some predictions from visitors from this past weekend, maybe in a gold standard on Monday. We will see. Still got to make some more calls. But so going back, before I throw it back to you, Kyle, you can tell us what you saw from, and you wrote the story. You can find at blueandgold.com, but, from the recruits as they entered. But we even were able to get live updates as things were happening in real time on the message board about what the guys are doing. So home run derby, 3-point shootout, Irish ball, which is like lacrosse and ultimate frisbee had a baby. If that kind of like that's that kind of game where you're running and throwing and you're putting a ball in a basket kind of thing. What else did they do? Quite literally a grilling competition where Marcus Freeman and some other Notre Dame staffers were the judges. So just a good fun event while also the parents while some of those events were going on, had like some different presentations they went through, and then when they're having lunch, they had a presentation. I think it was Christopher Stevens, co-founder of Keurig, who's a Notre Dame professor. He spoke for a little bit. So all in all, some kind of fun, unique stuff that look, a lot of these visits during a spring, you go and see practice, you get a tour. These kids have done that so many times. The grill and chill is kind of a unique, fun thing. So, Kyle, I'll throw it over to you. What did you see from the event? Early on, as the guys were entering the Goog.
Yeah, before I dive in a little bit deeper into that, I just kind of want to give people an idea of what to expect coming out of this weekend, because you were touching on it a little bit in terms of the number of commitments and who we could expect and when we could expect. And this is something I dove in a little deeper into this week on Blue and Gold, just looking at some of the data from the Grill and Trail. And just to put into perspective how well Notre Dame did last year from the recruits that were on campus, I think I said Notre Dame had like 14, or let me look at what I wrote is I said last year's event was a massive success. Freeman ended up securing commitments from 13 of 18 recruits that attended. So there was also basically from that group 14 guys that Notre Dame truly targeted. I think there was like 4 other guys that had Notre Dame offers that were at last year's event, but just kind of fell off the board for one reason or another. So Notre Dame basically had an 85% success rate with the guys that were on campus last year, and that was absolutely remarkable. Yeah. You do not find that in recruiting.
Yeah.
Now, the year before was a little bit more realistic. They had 17 guys on campus. I only considered 10 of those guys to become true targets, and just jog the memory of some of the Notre Dame fans.
Sure.
Emmett Mosley, Jacob and Gerard Smith, the Smith twins, defensive linemen that flipped from Michigan to Kentucky. Aaron Scott, a cornerback from Ohio, and Justin Scott was there. 5-star D lineman, 5-star wide receiver Ryan Wingo, some of those guys. Yep. Notre Dame only got 3 commits that year, so a 30% success rate. So going into this year's visit with only, I think, 7 targets on campus, and we don't know what the outcome of those recruitments are in terms of where those guys are going to stack up on the board. But I think it's fair to assume that if Notre Dame keeps getting these guys on campus through the fall and January, and as things progress, I think 3 or 4 guys could pop from this year.
Yeah.
And just observing the guys walk into campus yesterday and arrive into the Goob, like a lot of excitement for yesterday's event. And I can tell you this, that Caleb Davis, Notre Dame's director of recruiting, he is back. He's already cleared. He's back there in full force, back on the staff after spending most of the offseason at Troy, after being basically Chad Bowden's right-hand man at Notre Dame for his first 2 years in South Bend, along with Freeman. But he's back.
Yeah.
There was a lot of excitement from him there, and Bowden and a lot of the recruits. And that would pretty much just be the biggest theme that I had from yesterday, is the excitement for yesterday's visit, the energy that those guys brought. A lot of water guns. That was kind of their theme this year. Forgot what they did last year, but they always have some sort of
CIA or
exactly, some sort of thing going on there. So yeah, that's my long-winded answer.
Okay, you brought up the Caleb Davis thing. We did not touch on that last week during our show because we were just it was such a Derek Meadows episode, I'll say. So I think like the Chad Bowden's right-hand man thing, I think that might have been more Dre Brown ever since Marcus Freeman became head coach. You remember, like, Dre Brown Chad Bowden came in as the defensive director of recruiting, and then they hired Dre Brown to be like the counterpart for the offense. But then when Marcus Freeman became head coach, Dre then moved to like working with the corners, and then he eventually moved back to the recruiting office. I think his title was director of high school relations or something. So those 2 guys worked really, really closely, right? And then Jared Parker gets hired at Troy in December. takes Caleb Davis to run his recruiting department, and then Dre Brown leaves Notre Dame for his alma mater to be a key part in their recruiting operation. And then 6 months later, after Caleb Davis leaves Notre Dame, and again, Caleb had a recruiting office role. I don't remember his exact role was at Notre Dame before, but then he comes.
Recruiting associate.
Okay, for recruiting associate, which I think like Dylan McCullough's son has some kind of role like that. And we will do I will have a story about the different roles in the Notre Dame recruiting office and who they are and what they do. You're going to find that story at blueandgold.com next week. That's going to be a really good one. I'm looking forward to writing that because I get a lot of people who ask me about, who are the people in the Notre Dame recruiting office, or if you do know who they are, what do they do? So that'll be great. So Caleb Davis comes back, and now he's kind of replaced Brown, and the titles may be different, but I mean, at the end of the day, these guys are running the recruiting operation. So I think, you have Caleb Davis working hand in hand with Chad Bowden. Davis worked with Bowden and Freeman at Cincinnati, so there's that comfort level. Carter Rahman is another key part. Becca Seitz, and there's a long list of important people in that recruiting office. So I did just want to touch on that, Kyle, because you brought up Caleb, and I know we had that news last week at Blue and Gold, or Football Scoop broke that news, I should say, and we didn't get to talk about it. So I think that was a pretty notable update. Caleb Davis, left for Troy with Jared Parker to run the recruiting operation there. 6 months later, back in South Bend already.
Yeah, and just to provide one more snippet of context from the kind of my mentioning of Caleb Davis being Chad Bowden's right-hand man while at Notre Dame in the first stint. The reason I kind of felt that way is because, as you mentioned, Chad and Caleb's connections go all the way back to their time at Cincinnati. So they've been very well connected. And this offseason, Notre Dame really reshuffled their recruiting department in terms of making promotions, adding new titles after Dre Brown left for Illinois. And honestly, the main shakeout from this was after the Butler Benton hire was it didn't really move the needle as much as I think they thought. And Butler Benton ended up taking a GM role with UCLA, which opened up that position at Notre Dame. And kind of now, like you said, you're going to dive much more deeper into the roles behind the scenes of the Notre Dame staff. But kind of my interpretation of it now is Chad Bowden, he's no longer the director of player personnel, which he held that role for a couple months, getting a promotion from director of recruiting. He's now truly their general manager. So yeah. Chad Bowden, he pretty much has oversight of the entire roster is the way I interpret it, similar to NFL franchises. And similar to NFL franchises, just because you have oversight of the whole roster doesn't mean that you're not going to be involved in the NFL draft. Like Chad Bowden's still going to be heavily involved in recruiting. But I think bringing Caleb Davis back from Troy, this kind of gives Caleb the authority to be like Notre Dame's director of recruiting. Like he's going to be the guy that's really going to be digging his heels in to the recruiting side of things, Notre Dame. And I think that's going to free Bowden up a little bit to manage the roster a lot like an NFL. So I really like the way they have structured the recruiting department. And then from a personal aspect, like because Chad and Caleb and like Dylan McCullough's son, for example, like because all those guys are so connected, it really gives that like recruiting department
family. 100%.
Yep, a family feel.
100%. Yeah.
I promise you, the recruits notice that, their families notice that, they feel that energy from Notre Dame. And I think that's a big part of why a lot of these weekends have been so successful in the past. Yeah. Will continue to be so successful in the future.
Kyle, man, I'm so glad we got you on our site, man. You're so good at you know how talented you are. I mean, Kyle, that was good stuff.
I have personal doubts, but I try to do my job, and I'll be honest, man. Not to toot our horn a whole lot, but I'm feeling pretty confident in the package we've put out from the grill. Like, I don't know if I was very pleased by what you did yesterday with the updates. Like, I just let you run with that thing. Like, I kind of told you that I could help. I don't even think you saw my message, so I'm just like, give it to Mike. I did my thing on campus, and I feel
Yeah,
like
it was
our
great.
coverage afterwards
Yeah,
been.
we got a great package over here, like of coverage package.
You want to know how you can get it?
I'll show everybody. Uh, one
So for
dollar.
YouTube audience that is not subscribed, fire it up, man. UND won 2 months for $1, and I got good news because this deal will take you all the way through the A&M game and the start of the season. So you're going to be able to get all the content, premium content,
For a
insider
buck.
scoop, like $1 for 2 months. And if you don't like it by the time the season rolls around, so be it. But I'm willing to bet on our staff and our
Yeah,
coverage that you'll stick with us.
yeah. All right, let's dive into the meat and potatoes of the show. Let's go. I want to go through. I have like 10 names pulled up. Um, and Kyle, we're gonna go rapid fire a little bit. You can give some observations. Tell me what you if you talk to the guys. I haven't been able to catch with Noah Grubbs yet. We exchanged a couple text messages yesterday, and he even put out a tweet. Let me see if I can. So he put out family. So there's him. I believe that's his two brothers. And with quarterbacks coach Gino Guidugli tweeted out family. And then yeah, I was told, and I put this in my Lucky Charms article yesterday with some like I titled the article "Initial Intel" because we're gonna have much more in that gold standard. I think on yeah, I'll do a gold standard Monday with like more intel plus maybe some predictions plus some notes on the 2025 or 2025 board. Hopefully some receiver updates, but Notre Dame's kind of working in. We'll talk about receiver recruiting a little bit, but Notre Dame's kind of working in silence. They don't. I don't think Notre Dame really wants what they're doing there. So we'll see on that. But the thing for Grubbs that I wanted to mention, this is Notre Dame's quarterback commit from Lake Mary, Florida, in the 2026 class. I'm told that he really embraced the lead recruiter role at the quarterback position. Deuce Knight has done a really good job of that. CJ Carr did in the 2024 class. Grubbs is continuing that. So I was told that he did a really good job. Source went out of their way to mention Grubbs as like really, really good job. Do you see anything notable from Grubbs yesterday, Kyle?
He was the first to arrive with Joey O'Brien, and I did find that notable. Not so much that Grubbs was the first to arrive, but
They arrived together, right? Is that what
who
you're
he
on?
arrived with. Because if there was one guy that I thought could maybe come out of this weekend committed, it would be Joey O'Brien, who you've already predicted to end up at Notre Dame.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah, French top 100 recruit out of Pennsylvania. I'm sure we'll dive in a little bit deeper
Yeah,
to
we
his.
will.
But for what it's worth, not to. Yeah, actually, I'll hold my thoughts on that a little bit later. But Grubbs and O'Brien showed up right away, at least from when me and the reporters arrived. I think, ironically, the guy Notre Dame offered yesterday, the defensive lineman from the East Coast, it's Damian Simeon. That's his name, I believe. I think he might have
Sure,
got
yeah.
there before anyone was there, like to see him arrive. But in terms of who I saw arrive first, it was a contingent of Grubbs, O'Brien, and a whole golf cart full of prospects at the booth.
Ryan Elliott, thank you very much for the $9.99 super chat. Ryan, we'll be looking out for a comment from you or a question if you had anything. Really appreciate the support. Next, Blaine Bradford, nation's #1 safety according to the On3 industry ranking for that 2026 class. Number 15 overall player. Yeah, had a pretty good visit. The feeling is that this one is far from over. Like you could, if you want to say Notre Dame leads, that's you can say that, but I think that this one is pretty early on, despite him looking to narrow down his recruitment to 5 schools. But like he might narrow it down, but it's far from over kind of deal. So yeah, Notre Dame might have some optimism here, but this is going to be one of those like long-term battles. LSU, certainly
Ohio
going to be
State.
tough to beat. Ohio State. Yeah, this is one of those big boy recruiting battles for Notre Dame. They win some of these, they lose some of these, but he had a really good visit, and Notre Dame will securely make his top 5 schools, Kyle.
Yeah, I think this is a recruitment that Notre Dame feels like they can win. and I don't think they're saying that they're going to win it, but the fact that they're coming out of this visit thinking that, or at least I know going into the visit, that they felt confident that this is a recruit they could add to the class. And the fact that you can say that the number one safety in the class, 5-star prospect out of Baton Rouge, Louisiana, where LSU is located, I think that's pretty impressive.
Yeah. Simeon Caldwell, listed as a safety. That's eventually going to change. Really, a linebacker prospect. These ads are crazy. Walmart ads been ticking me off on the site. I was told it was a really good visit. Haven't been able to catch up with him yet. Should be doing that pretty soon. But I was told that the visit went pretty well. And my contact with him in recent weeks and months, I've got the feeling that this is a Notre Dame type kid. Just scrolling to see if he's responded to me, so I can set up that interview. But yeah, I do like where Notre Dame's at right now. I think that the Irish are in the lead spot for this top 100 recruit from Jacksonville, Florida.
Ohio State is another school to watch here. I don't know the exact connection, but I think he does have some sort of relationship or family connection with someone on the Ohio State staff. So obviously any recruit in Florida as well, Florida State, Florida, Miami, those schools will be involved for a guy like that, and schools in the South for top 100 guy. But Notre Dame, I think, feels pretty good to be right where they're at with a guy that highly rated from the South at this point in the process.
Moving along for the Thursday Grill and Chill visitors would be Thomas Davis Jr., which may be the most anticipated visitor. One we were really looking forward to hearing about the most. I know that you are close to putting in a prediction, Kyle. I said to you on the message board, you got to nut up and just make the pick.
It's coming. Trying to find the time. Doing a lot of work this morning.
I do think that the Irish are in a really good spot for Thomas Davis Jr., who is the son of Thomas Davis Sr., of course, who played for 15 years, Kyle, for the Carolina Panthers, and Davis Jr. at Weddington. Weddington High School in Matthews, North Carolina. Nation's number 110 overall player, number 9 linebacker. Sources believe that Notre Dame leads here. Probably not far behind you for a prediction, but I know that you're really liking where Notre Dame's at here.
Yeah, Thomas told me that, or I should clarify real quick that he actually prefers to go by TJ.
Okay.
He does not want to be considered synonymous with his father, Thomas Davis Sr. He loves his father, obviously, and there's father-son relationship, everything's good there, or whatever. But he wants to pave his own path, and
I like it.
Likes to go by TJ. And TJ told me that Notre Dame, Michigan, Penn State, Ohio State, and Clemson are the 5 schools sticking out to him right now. And I'm thinking Notre Dame is in the lead here. And sometimes, like you've said in the past, Mike, follow the visits. Well, if you look at Thomas Davis Jr.'s recruitment, there's only one school outside of the in-state programs that he's visited twice. And that's Notre Dame. Obviously, Georgia's a little bit of an anomaly. They have hosted him twice, but
2
Georgia
hours. It's been a long time.
And plus, Thomas Davis' father, Thomas Davis Sr., he's a Georgia product. So not hard for TJ to get to Athens just for any sort of recruiting event or game or anything like that. For what it's worth, if the Bulldogs do offer, I think that can make the recruitment pretty interesting. But the reason I feel like Notre Dame is going to pull this one off in the end, and why I'm going to be logging in RPM, is because he does want to pave his own path. And part of the way of doing that is I don't think he wants to follow in his father's footsteps to Georgia. And Notre Dame has been killing it in this recruitment so far. Max Bola, Al Golden, and I'm sure Marcus Freeman will be involved. And I encourage our listeners to check out my story on Thomas Davis yesterday. And I think that should provide some further context to where the Irish stand in that recruitment.
Sincere Johnson from Cleveland, Glenville, an interesting one. Number 106 overall player, number 7 linebacker in the 2026 class per the On3 industry ranking. Yeah, another really good visit. We felt for a while it's going to be Notre Dame Ohio State battle in the end, but that's assuming Ohio State offers, and they haven't yet. So you also talked to Sincere. Kyle, what's your vibe on this recruitment after his visit?
Yeah, as I've said on the show so many times before and written in a lot of my stories about Sincere, like Cleveland Glenville, that is the definition of Ohio State pipeline. Troy Smith, Dante Whitner, as recently as Bryce West, Demarion Witten, a lot of Cleveland Glenville guys end up at Ohio State if the Buckeyes offer. And I'm pretty surprised Ohio State has not offered a top 100 recruit from Cleveland Glenville. And the sense I get from Johnson is I think he's becoming a little bit annoyed by his Ohio State recruitment because he's been there a number of times. They've seen him work out a number of times. I don't think he has much of a sense on what they're looking for in order to offer. And I think the longer that Ohio State remains uncertain in Sincere Johnson recruitment, that gives Notre Dame the ability to grow further and further of a lead in this recruitment. But it's early here. He's going to be at A&M on Saturday. Ironically, Trey McNutt, a former Notre Dame target in the 25 class, five-star safety, he's going to be down in College Station this weekend. And Sincere told me he's keeping a close eye on the outcome of McNutt's recruitment. That's pretty much down to Oregon and A&M. Believe it or not, an Ohio State legacy recruit from Cleveland, Ohio is going to end up going quite a ways away from home, it seems like. So, yeah, it's gonna be a fascinating recruitment to follow with Sincere Johnson through the cycle, and how Notre Dame continues to monitor that one moving forward.
Here's a player that I personally think is going to end up at Notre Dame. That's Tyler Merrill from Cumberland Valley in Mechanicsburg, PA, Pennsylvania. Number 60 overall player, number 5 interior offensive lineman per the On3 industry ranking. Kyle, have we caught up with Tyler yet? Oh, you just talked to him.
That's why our show was delayed by 2 minutes because I talked to Tyler Merrill for
loving where Notre Dame stands for Tyler Merrill. What are you thinking?
I am not as confident right now because he is being very patient and he just wants to let things play out this season a little bit. And I think he kind of wants to see how the coaching cycle, like I think Tyler Merrill, he is a big picture type of kid. And I think he looks at what happened last year with Nick Saban retiring from Alabama and like the coaching shakeout and like how all these coaches went to a number of different places scattered across the country. So I think he just wants to see how things play out after the season. I think there's a group of schools that he really likes. The interpretation that I have is that Notre Dame, Michigan, and Penn State are probably the three, ironically, also the ones right there on the RPM that are probably going to be the most talked about schools, most involved schools in this recruitment. I'm not ready to say there's a leader. I know Notre Dame's obviously going to feel confident in this one, as they should with any offensive line recruit. But yeah, I mean, for what it's worth, talked to Tyler, had a great visit yesterday, brought his whole family there. That was their first time on campus. And I think Notre Dame maybe was able to set the pace, so to speak, in this recruitment. But Michigan's going to be able to have their counter punch on Saturday.
Yeah, we've been talking about this at Blue and Gold the past week, like Notre Dame always battling with Michigan and Penn State. It seems like just for every recruit, we talk about those two schools, which might also be the case with Joey O'Brien from Glenside, Pennsylvania, LaSalle College, number 105 overall player, number 11 safety in the 2026 class per the industry ranking. Notre Dame liking him as a corner. These 6'4" corners do not grow on trees, so Notre Dame likes him at that position. I haven't caught up with Joey yet, hoping to do so today. I think he's visiting Michigan tomorrow, so might have to catch with him early next week if it's a travel day or if he's already visiting there or if he's still visiting Notre Dame today. I don't know what the deal is there, but yeah, Joey O'Brien. I logged 4 predictions for Notre Dame following St. Patrick's Day. The pot of gold, and O'Brien was one of them, and feeling pretty good. I had a source telling me that visit went incredible. So I'm feeling pretty good about the Irish with Joey O'Brien. The thing that it's definitely going in Notre Dame's favor here is that when he got his offer from Notre Dame, the only two schools that had also offered him were Duke and Toledo. So the Irish can really say, hey, we were on you early before you blew up.
Yeah, I mean, this is pretty comparable to Tyler Merrill's recruitment, two of the best prospects in Pennsylvania. I think it's going to be Notre Dame, Penn State, Michigan battle till the end for both those guys. And I did a lot of reporting this week on Joey O'Brien on Blue and Gold. You can check all those stories out after I talked to his coach at LaSalle College. And one thing that stuck out from my conversation there was Joey O'Brien's a high academic kid. He holds a very high GPA at a very challenging private high school. So education is important to him. Um, I think there might be a preference to play somewhere where his family can easily get to. I think Notre Dame is considered one of those schools. I think it's a pretty easy travel from Philadelphia to South Bend. But for what it's worth, his older sister did play basketball for a year as a grad student at Florida State. So family is not afraid to expand their horizons outside of Big Ten country and outside the Midwest. So that will always be like a little bug in my mind as we go throughout this recruitment and as more schools start to get involved that are more nationally recognized.
Yeah, so like where Notre Dame's at with Joey O'Brien, Notre Dame extended one new offer, and it was to Damari Simeon, a defensive lineman in the 26th class from New Jersey. Interesting recruit. Very early on in his process, he just got his first offer in early May. So this was a kid who went into the spring evaluation period with 0 offers, picks up a handful since. So yeah, we're talking Pennsylvania. We're talking a lot of New Jersey in today's show. I talked to Damari Simeon. Really good visits. And yeah, I'll have that article at Blue and Gold in the next couple of days. So yeah, would expect Notre Dame will be a contender for Damari Simeon. And then 3 guys of note, and we're not talking about every single guy who visited. We're just going through a handful of names. Chancellor Barclay from Lake Manola. I believe that's Central Florida. Number 411 overall player, number 36 interior offensive lineman, 6'4", 280 pounds. Notre Dame has not offered yet. I anticipate that happening. Yeah, it's sometime in the next few weeks. It could even be in the next week as the staff kind of debriefs following the Grill and Chill. This isn't the all-name team. Wasi Lugulobi. I talked to Wasi today. I remembered how to pronounce his first name. I don't remember the last name, so if I butcher that, Wasi, I apologize. But a linebacker from Eastside Catholic in the state of Washington, offers from the Huskies, Colorado, ASU, Louisville, some others. Wasi told me that he really played like an outside linebacker edge role last year, and Notre Dame projects him as an inside linebacker. So Max Bull and the staff want to see him play that position during his junior season, evaluate that early tape, and then see where things go from here in terms of a potential offer. Gavin Mueller from St. Francis in Illinois is one of my favorite prospects in the 2026 class. I think he's like been more of a basketball. Kyle, I'm sure you know this. You've talked to him. He's more of like a basketball player, and then like he's kind of emerged as a football prospect recently. He went to Irish Invasion, and he's like a first off the bus kind of guy. Like he's yoked and looked really good that day. And for these guys who don't have offers going into Irish Invasion, if you got invited, the staff is clearly serious. Like when Notre Dame hosts Miami of Ohio, you'll get some commits. You might get a target or two. But it's a lot of kids that are like probably never have a chance to actually get an offer from Notre Dame, but maybe a PWO type deal, or hey, you get a free trip over to Notre Dame. You're a local recruit, build relationships with the high schools, those kind of things. But if you got an invite to the Grill and Chill, Notre Dame's serious about you. So Gavin Mueller, you get Chancellor Barclay, Wasi, these guys we're talking about. Notre Dame's very interested in these prospects. So Gavin Mueller, someone who really was impressive, 6'6", 231 pounds. Notre Dame had him on campus yesterday. I think he's going to be someone that they're going to evaluate early senior season or early junior season. If Notre Dame offers, I think there's a good chance that this kid picks Notre Dame again. A tight end from Chicagoland, and he goes to a school called St. Francis. Notre Dame's got a good shot there.
Yeah, I can support your analysis there. I talked to Gavin Mueller yesterday.
Oh, cool.
And you mentioned his recruitment. It is super interesting because he was telling me how a couple years ago he was attending some Notre Dame lacrosse games as a fan because he thought he was going to play lacrosse for Notre Dame. And then entering high school, he quit football to focus on basketball because he thought he was going to play big time basketball. Notre Dame was obviously a school he liked there, but has not really been as fruitful as a process. So he has started to focus on football, and boy, he is really reaping the benefits. I think he has like a dozen power conference schools already involved, and he hasn't even played a game of high school football.
Yeah.
And,
Really?
yeah, never played a down of high school football, and he has all these schools coming after him.
Just from camp. So people who are like,
remember how he looked at Notre Dame in
All right.
June? He was a stud.
All right, so here's something to talk about. When these rankings websites update after the spring and summer, right? On3 just did a rankings update a couple weeks ago. I'll have people, how can you update rankings when there's not been any football going on? Bro, these shorts and t-shirts events are a big deal. This kid's never even played high school football and has several offers just from going to camps. So, and we saw him at Notre Dame. He would look really good. He looked really good. So, just a soapbox, old man, yellow clouds argument, real quick. So, yeah, Gavin Mueller, I'm all for it. I think bold prediction. I think he's going to end up at Notre Dame. That's my bold prediction. I mean, Notre Dame hasn't even offered him yet. I think they will. Look, if now that you mentioned it, Kyle, I do remember reading your story from after Irish Invasion about that. So, of course, if you're Notre Dame, you're not going to offer him yet. Illinois, maybe, right? You're Illinois. But dude, no disrespect to Illinois. But Notre Dame's going to wait to see him play junior film. So
pull up his offer sheet real quick. You're going to be stunned when you see the schools that are already involved for Gavin Mueller, who has not even played a game. And as far as his Notre Dame timeline here, he told me that staff discussed with him that they want to see him play 2 to 3 games. And if things go well, then they might offer him there. But yeah, I mean, multiple power conference schools here. Wait till you see Florida.
Florida
in A&M. Florida and Texas A&M are offering a tight end from Chicago who's never played a down high school football.
Did he camp there?
No, I don't think so.
Well, then how did they?
He's a good player, man. I don't know how much you saw from him at Irish Invasion, but he's a really, really good athlete, and there's no surprise why he's on Notre Dame's radar. They just want to see him play football.
Yeah.
That's pretty much all it is. So we'll see what happens in about a month or two where this recruitment goes.
All right, I'm going to go over to the chat. And again, thank you. Oh, am I good? Hello? Okay. Sorry. My computer just crashed on there for a second, but we're okay. Ryan Elliott did not see a follow-up comment from you, but just again, I want to thank you for the generous $10 super chats. Some other comments I had queued up. Jerry White says, I live in Alabama. I'm so tired of the Auburn fans truly thinking they're going to flip Deuce Knight. It's every day. At least we have a high-end recruit that others want. Yeah. I do appreciate Ole Miss and Auburn writers thinking that Deuce is going to visit their respective schools this weekend because it's given Kyle and I some things to discuss during a rather slow time. Look, I don't want to say he's definitely not, because who knows, it's recruiting, things can happen. But he ain't visiting Ole Miss this weekend. He ain't visiting Auburn. It's just not going to happen. If he does, he does. Whatever, I'll be wrong. That's fine. But, guys, I don't think Deuce Knight's flipping. I just really don't see it. Kyle, he has been pursued by other schools really since he committed. And it's always been all right, we'll see. If he takes visits, then let's talk. we'll see if he publicly says, "No, guys, I'm not considering other schools." Like he's still kind of saying the same message. You follow me right now, Kyle? You still follow me? But I feel like there's been a shift from like Deuce is even more solid. I just feel like in the past month, I, I feel like whether it's what he's saying publicly, he's saying to me in interviews, talking to Notre Dame, so it feels like he's even more bought in than before. Am I just pulling something out of my rear end here, or do you feel the same? Like it just feels like he's even more bought in than he was, say, 3 months ago.
Deuce Knight would be doing a disservice to himself by decommitting from Notre Dame. He's way too invested in the program. He's way too invested to this class. He's spent way too much time and money on campus. He's spent way too much time around the staff, and he trusts Mike Denbrock and he trusts Gino Guidugli, and I think that these staff firmly believes, and I don't think you can say this about a lot of guys, but I think the staff truly believes that Deuce Knight has Heisman Trophy potential.
Yeah,
I really think they do. I think they believe that, and the offer he got from Leaf Sports
yeah.
Cards.
I mean, I did see it. On3 reported it. So yeah, we had it on our site. Yeah, I mean, he's yeah, he signed a new NIL deal, and it's not something where it's like an Ole Miss, Ole Miss got on this or something. All right, now you got to go. No, like several top quarterbacks in the 2025 class also got this. So that was really cool. I don't know the particulars of the deal. It's none of our damn business, but it seems like it was a really, really cool thing for Deuce Knight and his family. So very, very happy for him there. Devi says Liverpool plays today. I'm super fired up about Liverpool preseason. I'm actually going to see Liverpool in Columbia, South Carolina on August 3rd. So I might need to take a PTO day on the 2nd. So I need to remember to request that. Tony says, shout out to Mike with that grab from Chris Mitchell last night. Dude, I mean, so you guys know I'm playing this EA college football game. Jason also said, what are your thoughts on the game? I'm loving it, man. So a little play action bomb from Steve Angeli to Chris Mitchell, and got the Tim Hyde visor and glasses on. So we are currently 3-1 in my Notre Dame dynasty, which in my role play world here, again, as Tim Hyde, there was an issue with Riley Leonard's transfer paperwork. So Riley is ineligible for this season. It's the best thing I can make up on the fly, dude.
That's a thing on this new NCAA or this new college football game.
No, I made it up. I just benched him. And that was my reasoning. Dude, I do press conferences pre and post game where people join my Discord and ask me questions. It's a blast. I'm having a ton of fun with the EA college football game. So yeah, it's a blast. So been enjoying streaming it, and I think Mark with glasses gets to watch me. Twong says I'm from Columbia, dude. I'll be there on August 3rd. Twong, if you can let me park at your house, that'd be great, dude. I got to figure out how to where to park for that. But anyways, wanted to go next, Kyle, as we start to wind down the show. Just the 2025 receiver situation in general, which we've talked about on this show, or in maybe it was my interview with Darren from earlier this week. But in terms of like what Notre Dame's going to do moving forward with 2025 wide receiver recruiting, try to flip Derek Meadows, maybe go after some older targets, whether it's someone who Notre Dame wanted but they committed elsewhere, or maybe Notre Dame cooled on, and then go after some new guys. So I always like how, like I said earlier in the show, I think you're a superstar. I love hearing your takes, what you would like to see Notre Dame do. We know they're going to try to move in silence, and like they did with Logan Saldate is kind of the perfect example. They go out and flip an Oregon State commit, someone that they evaluated after Isaiah Canyon flipped to Georgia Tech. What would you like to see them do moving forward with receiver recruiting in 2025?
Well, I think it's pretty obvious. I think I would like to see them flip 2 guys because those are, that's where they need to go to fill the spots, and the reason I say flip 2 guys and not target 2 guys or offer 2 guys, it's because if you're a wide receiver right now and you're not committed elsewhere, like,
Yeah,
most of the top guys are all committed.
right.
Some, then there's like a group of 5 stars like Jamie French and a couple other guys
Not
who,
getting those guys. Yeah, they're not getting those
well,
guys.
plus like my point is they have commitment dates. So
Sure.
everyone's either coming off the board or off the board already. So that's the way Notre Dame's going to have to approach 2025 recruiting and at wide receiver. And the theme of 2025 wide receiver recruiting for the remainder of the cycle is going to be no stone unturned, because I am told the number of guys that this staff has watched or is watching is a significant amount.
A few dozen for sure. It's got to be. Yeah.
They are digging very deep, expanding far and wide to find the best fits in the program, the best fits in the offense. Like, they're not just going like, so unlike me, who wrote a story on Blue and Gold on Monday morning about guys that I thought they should offer just for one reason or another. It made sense regionally. Mike Brown had offered them at
Connections.
Wisconsin.
Sure.
Yeah, maybe they showed interest in Notre Dame before. That's not how they're approaching this. They're approaching this by finding the best fits for Notre Dame on and off the field, especially on the field with Mike
Start from
Denbrock.
square one, right? Like that's pretty much what they're doing.
Feels like that's what it feels like right now. And yeah, I mean, I don't even know of a timeline for this. I don't know who, I don't know when. And I think that I don't think they're gonna tell anyone. Either of
Yeah.
those things. I don't even think many of the guys know. I mean,
Yeah.
for what
Well,
it's worth, I've reached
yeah.
out to a number of top recruits in the 25 cycle at receiver. They are hearing from Notre Dame. So Notre
They
Dame is
are.
in, yes. Notre Dame is in contact with a number of guys. So
Oh,
just have to find out which ones emerge, I guess.
sure. Sure. Yeah. What we do know at this point is, yeah, leaving no one stone unturned, in contact with several dozen. And I think Derek Meadows is the one name that we can definitely share. And then they are um, going. I think they're going to take 2 more in addition to Bettis and
They,
Elijah
they,
Burr. So I think 4.
they have
What's up?
to.
Yeah, they got
They
to take.
have to. They need 4 guys.
Yeah, so four receivers in this class looks to be likely. So, folks, please hit the thumbs up on this video if you're watching live or watching back. Subscribe to our channel for more content. Make sure you go to blueandgold.com. It's your home for all things Notre Dame football and recruiting coverage. What's the fall camp start date? It's next Wednesday, Thursday?
Kicks off on Wednesday.
So I think the players like officially report Tuesday, and then yeah, fall camp starts Wednesday. So we will have tons of written coverage, interviews, all that good stuff on our blueandgold.com message board. And then for folks watching on YouTube, we will also have the practice video reports with some clips that you'll have Jack Sobel and Tyler Horka giving you guys the recaps and analysis, who lined up where, who's on the first team this, from the snippets of practice that the guys get to watch, which I think the first practice is fully open. I
Yes,
don't know if
sir.
I'm supposed to say
Yeah.
that, but yeah, so we'll get to watch practice and then report on it. Don't get to shoot video of all practice, which makes sense, but get to actually tell you guys what in terms of Tyler and Jack, what they saw. So that'll be good. I'm right here on our Blue and Gold YouTube channel. That is going to do it for today's show. Really appreciate everyone who tuned in. We will be back live Tuesday. Myself and Tim Hyde, maybe we'll get a guest on there to preview fall camp, give you storylines, predictions, all that stuff. And then Kyle and I will be back next Friday. We're going to hold this Friday afternoon spot for a couple more weeks, unless Kyle has to go over to practice, and we might move a show to a Thursday. But during the actual football season, this show will be on Thursdays with Kyle traveling on Fridays. For football games, I will do some traveling as well, but not as much with a baby due in October. I don't think I can really leave the house much once we get close to due date. So it'll be more of a chill fall for me. But again, folks, please hit the thumbs up on this video. Subscribe to the channel if you have not done so. Really appreciate you guys spending some time with us here on the Blue and Gold YouTube channel. Again, thank you very much, and we'll catch you next time.